What's up, guys? It is time for another video. Hello, how you doing? Thank you so much for all the subscribers that have subscribed so far. We definitely need to still do what we can to get it out there. So my call to action to you guys is to make sure you like, subscribe, share, and comment too. All those things help to grow the channel and get the information out there for the people who need it. So again, Central Florida Notary here, and today we're going to be talking to you about general notary work, and if we have time, then we'll get into RON, which is remote online notary. I want to have a second. I want you guys to take a second to take a look at this shirt here. It says it's the protecting my peace part for me. Now this is from a young lady who owns Mess in a Bottle, a very good artist. She has a lot of cool shirts and stuff that you can buy, and it's unisex, and there are also a lot of stuff on there for women too. I have a couple different shirts from her. That is not sponsored at all. I ain't big enough to have sponsors, but I just wanted y'all to notice that sometimes you got to protect your peace, whatever that may mean. If you got to get out of a toxic relationship, or get away from a toxic person, it doesn't matter. You got to make sure that protecting your peace is first and foremost. All right. So as I said, general notary work, which is affectionately called GNW. So for those of you who are like, what's that GNW talking about? What that is? That's what that means. General notary work. So general notary work can be anything as small as notarizing a letter that somebody did, that they, a mutual agreement that they have among somebody, and they need to get it notarized so they can, stamp it for record, or as big as, in some instances, power of attorney, for someone who may be transitioning, unfortunately. So you can make good money doing that. And initially when I started, and this was back in January, the idea of becoming a notary, I just figured that there's this database, because there is, that people would just search and your name would pop up as the nearest notary in their area, and they can go to you, and then you can tell them what your prices are. That is not the case. Not the case at all. You have to put some things in place, and that's more of a marketing aspect of it. But we're going to get into that later on. Not so much now. I just want to kind of go over some examples of general notary work. Okay? Not to be confused with loan signing agent, which we're going to talk about. We're going to have a video dedicated specifically for that, in subsequent videos too. At no point in time are we going to talk about price other than what the state maximum you have to charge per stamp. Okay? And then, that would be the only thing. Travel fees and all that other stuff is based on you. And that's something that you have to, get the customer to agree. But, just to touch on a little bit about general notary work, you do have to market. So I'm going to recommend, if you haven't, or if you are interested in marketing, or getting yourself seen with doing general notary work, you got to have a Google business page, and you also have to have a Yelp. Not have to. I recommend you have both. And that's before you get into the thumbtacks of it all, and the signing companies and other places. You want to specifically start there at those places, because they have no startup costs to get associated with Google business page or Yelp. It doesn't cost anything. Now, if you wanted to do ads and things of that nature, then there's different tiers that you can get on. But again, that's not what we're talking about. This is just like the basic level. You get your notary commission, you got it, and you want to start getting noticed, letting people know that you're out there. You have to start with getting some type of online platform that will advertise your work. I got a website. I don't know that website's name. I always say that every single time. Somebody here? My dogs. Give me 1 second. I told y'all I'm one take Reggie. I don't do more than one take, so that's gonna be in the video. Um, but you do have to market on a very basic level, and those pages are very helpful to, to making that easy. Getting into the specifics of how to set it up is very simple. Put pictures and things of that nature up there, for you to be able to be seen. Make sure you search engine, SEO. There's a whole gang of things that you got to do to get yourself out there. But that, again, the very basic level, get those two sites up and go from there. I've actually seen people advertise on Craigslist and a whole plethora of places. So, with general notary work, not only are you, when people, because, well, firstly, I want to say what's happening in the banking business, they're transitioning about not having notaries inside the banks anymore because a lot of times they can't notarize the documents in which their clients are bringing in. So you're going to see, an increase depending on where you are in your area. I know here in Florida specifically, you're going to start seeing an increase of people coming, going on your website or requesting your services to do general notary work. In the state of Florida, the max you can charge per stamp is $10. Okay, you can't charge more than that. You can't say I'm gonna charge 15. I'm gonna charge 35 because yes, you could get reported, especially if the person didn't have a good experience or they feel like you're price gouging or whatever the case may be. The max you can charge is $10 per page, okay, or per stamp, right? So you can do different things like 10 for the first, 5 for each additional, which is what I do. Just so it's not like a big inconvenience for them, because we have to put it in perspective, and I want to make sure that I say this for those of you who are in the back who are about their coins. There's nothing wrong with that. I am not saying anything about that, but you have to understand that people are meeting you that could potentially be on the worst day they ever could need you, and the idea isn't to make it rich off of doing general notary work. It's really a means to an end. So when you do other things like loan signing and it happens to be slow, or you were with the loan company, you're working direct, so on and so forth, then you can use general notary work in between that time to supplement. Now, it's not going to completely abolish like the amount of money that loan signing brings to you, but it definitely will help in terms of making a means to an end, getting a quick $20, $30, $40 depending on how much you charge and how big or how many documents that they have. So now the other thing as well is you can also charge travel fees. Okay, the IRS just raised the cent per mile. It used to be 54 cents, but it's now 62 cents per mile. So quick little math: 10 miles at 62 miles. That's $6.20. That would be on top of whatever you would notarize on that page. Okay. You could essentially round up to $20, just to kind of give it a flat one, or round down to 15. But you have to make sure that it makes justifiable sense. Like, you can't say $20 because that's the amount that it's going to be, and say you're going to charge 10 for the 10 for the stamp, and then $6.20 for the mileage. Where's that other $3.80 coming from? You have to make up that. You have to explain that, because at the end of the day, because you are a notary, your bookkeeping is definitely important, and you want to make sure, because again, that person can go back and say, hey, they price gouged me. I was paid $20, and you need to know why you charge them $20. It just can't be $20 for my inconvenience fee. You know what I'm saying? And you're gonna hear a lot of people talk about, my worth, my worth, my worth. Know your worth, know your worth. That sounds great. You know, again, you're not in this to be rich right away. It takes it takes time for you to get to where you need to go. Okay, it takes a great deal of time to get to where you need to go. When you're trying to use this as a platform to, um, you know, to become successful and become a business person. I still work full time, so any additional things that I get is any extra thing that I do on the side is in addition to my income that I already get from my job. I do it part time. There are people who do this full time, and they're great at what they do. And those typically are people who've been doing it for a long time, and they know how to navigate and make things happen for them in a marketing standpoint to continue to get customers. But starting off, you want to get the experience, and people aren't going to want to take a chance on you. Number one, if you have really expensive rates, and number two, you don't have the experience to back it up. So you have to be cognizant of that when you're, visiting how you want to set up your business. I've had people who've reached out to me here in the state of in Orlando that has asked me, you know, what it would cost, and I would give them the mileage, or whatever, and they would find somebody else that happens to be cheaper, and that's quite all right. And it wasn't, I try to be fair, with what I'm doing. I'm not gonna charge somebody $40 for the sake of charging them $40, because that's what I can do. I'm there's factors involved. If you're 45 minutes away, then yes, I am going to charge mileage, per, 62 cents per mile. And I'm going to let you know that up front so you can decide on if that's something that you want to do. There's a lot of us out here. I definitely think there's room for everybody. I don't really agree with the whole oversaturation. There's definitely a lot of people to choose from, but they're not going to get the quality work that they're going to get from me in the explaining of each documents and that oath that needs to be read, because it says oath on here. It says sworn and subscribed, and so on and so forth. So they're not going to get to explain what a jurat and acknowledgement is, and what there's no wrong answers. They're not going to get that level of experience that they get with me, and that's okay. I'm always going to be here. So part of me taking this job was because I'm in it for the long haul. It definitely was not something that was going to supplement my income. It was just going to be passive income that I can get as time goes on, So general notary work can be VIN verifications, which is actually pretty common, now. It can be general power of attorney. It can be a medical directive. It could be a document in terms of employment verification, I-9 process. It could be, in order for my teens to get a tattoo because they're 17, they need a notary, from the parent. That's something that can be done. There's many different things. Before you even get into the level of loan signing agent process. So, and you can definitely find ways to market to those things. You can do last will and testament, a will. You have to get those notarized. Advanced directives. I think I just said that. Those are key things that a lot of people need, and you have to understand and have that empathy to know that if they're coming to you with an advance directive or a will or something along those lines, it's going to be maybe a somber interaction where you would have to express your condolences for what may have happened, because they're they need this advance directive because their person is passing away, or grandmother's dying, or a will that needs to be mocked up because their family members are in a bad way, and they want to make sure that everybody gets a piece. It's a lot, and you have to be sympathetic to that. So that should lead first. Human experience should lead first prior to you making a quick buck. Now, I ain't saying to do it for free. You know what I'm saying? I am not saying that. But what I am saying is, when you're pitching these prices, be realistic. You know what I'm saying? Don't say $100 when it really is only going to take about $30 in gas, and it's only one document. So you really should be charging them 40. That's what I mean. Okay. And as time goes on, the price per document will definitely increase. It could definitely change. I think it's been that way for a while. It being $10. I know in some states it's $5, and then I know I forget what state it is, but you can't charge more than $5 for travel fee. Like, they actually stipulate how you have to charge them if you're doing general notary work, which makes it not something that could be lucrative for anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're an hour and a half away and I'm only able to get $5 for, come on, with this gas, that's about 4-5 gallons right there, round trip. You know what I'm saying? So, no, it has to at least pay for the gas. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I keep in mind a lot of times. I've had people that, this one particular situation, they found me. It was a quick claim deed, and I was a loan signing agent, so I was able to kind of, get the documents and charge this amount. But I ended up having to charge them $100 because of how far it was and how many miles it took for me to get there. You know what I'm saying? But it was, it took a little bit of time, and it was in an area of Florida I had never been before, and I hope I never go again. But yeah, it was, it was definitely, it was cool. It was cool because it was really only about 5 minutes of work, and I got $100 for it. So, but that mileage, you know what I'm saying, was pretty strong. So it was a ways away from where I was, round trip. So, but yeah, you have to keep those things in mind because it is, we're in the business of making money, yes, but we're also in the business of, meeting people sometimes on the saddest day that they may need you. I had a gentleman, unfortunately, we couldn't make it work through the, electronic RON, which we're going to get ready to talk about here in a minute. His father was transitioning, and, I could sympathize because my mom just had transitioned a year before. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to, to get the business, but, I helped with giving him kind words about, just staying strong and, keep your head up and so on and so forth. He ended up finding somebody else to get it done, a lot sooner because I wasn't free. It was during the day and I was working. I worked from 10 to 7, so that wasn't an option. But yeah, I've done quite a few power of attorneys. I've done quite a few acknowledgments, from jobs, when it comes to changing information from the employee. I haven't had a passport verification or anything like that, or documents or anything. I've had school docs, that I've had to do. I've had college papers that needed documented or notarized, or jurat that needed to be performed. Many different things. I want to make sure I make this disclaimer. You cannot notarize a vital document. You can't. That's a birth certificate, marriage certificate. You can't notarize it. Okay? Those documents have already been verified by the agency that they came from. So if somebody says, I need you to verify my birth certificate, you cannot. That is not something you can do. You can only refer them back to... Now, if they're requesting to get a birth certificate, a lot of companies will allow you to be able... Or at that point, yes, you do have to have an acknowledgement or, oath or affirmation done to get it. In that instance, yes, they're requesting it and they have a paper that, has the notarial wording on it. But to just notarize a marriage certificate because it needs to be notarized, you can't do that. You can't do that. So, but it can be very lucrative for you if you market right and you get the right people and you ask for referrals, you get the reviews. Once you start getting reviews on Google, that's when it starts to catapult you into being booked a little bit more frequently. The downside about Yelp that I'm going to say on a very basic level is that Yelp does not allow for others on other platforms to be able to come in and leave you reviews. They will tell you that it's not helpful. If you're not on Yelp, verified on Yelp as a user, your comment is not gonna stick. Google is different because Google is really just a search engine. So you can go on and leave reviews. You can call for outside reviews from previous customers that you may have had. So you can definitely do that. But Google is the number one used search engine. So if you're starting to get reviews more, you're going to show up a lot higher and quicker, which will make people want to book you more. So I also have a website. That's a good way to advertise too. But again, that's going to be something we're going to talk about later on. So now we're going to get over into the specifics of RON, Remote Online Notary. Okay, Remote Online Notary is exactly that. Remote Online Notarization is exactly that. Now, that only takes place if you happen to have a hosting platform. Okay, there's many different ones that are out there. The ones that I use, the ones that work for me, is Blue Notary and eNotary On Call. Okay, Blue Notary is a very, very new platform, which now they have loan signing platform too. It is a very, very new platform, but they pay the absolute most out of everybody that I've seen. They don't take a percentage of what you make or anything like that. They pay you the most. Okay, depending on what tier you purchase. The free tier, they don't provide you with any calls. Okay, you just bring that platform is used for you to bring your customers. If you have a whole line of them, bring them over. Okay. Then you can get the pro package for $27, and you get paid $25 per notarization, and you also get calls that come in, and you get to bring your calls over on that platform. Okay, make sure that the people that you're servicing can get a stamp from online, or they need a wet signature, because if they need a wet signature, that means you need to physically sign that paper that they have. The stamping and the online notarization will not work. You have to ask the issuing authority to find out what works best. Okay, so there's that. And then I also use eNotary On Call. eNotary On Call has a formula that they charge. The advantage that I like about them is they get calls more frequently than Blue Notary, simply because they've been in business a lot longer. Now, there's a whole bunch of them. You got eNotary On Call, which is another one. You bring your platform, bring people to your platform. You got eNotary Log, you bring onto your own platform. And by the way, I'm going to have all of this in the description, so don't worry. And then you got Notarize. Notarize is one of the most used, most common, well-known notarization sites out there. I'm going to vent a little bit because my experience with Notarize has not been what I expected. Now, I did say the word saturation, oversaturated. On Notarize, I do believe that it's oversaturated because there's not enough clientele to match how many people they have on their platform. And they do it in tiers, the calls in tiers. So if you have over 100 plus, and I'm just throwing that out there as a number, if you have over 100 plus calls, you get priority. You're going to get the calls that come in first, no matter what they are. You're also going to have business transactions as well as retail transactions. You get those, okay? The next level below it let's say it's 50. You have 50 or more calls. You're going to get priority as well. Okay. Whatever the elite ones have that they can't get to, you get to. You get them. Okay. You have the 10 or more. Then you get whatever the elite and the little less elite people, you get what they can't get. And then you got everybody else, which is partner. And with partner, that's 10 or less signings. You get whatever the leftover is. Let's say everybody else is busy, which is rare. You'll get their call. I didn't had my son sit here tapping on the computer trying to get a call, thinking that was the process that it took for me to catch one, when it ain't. Like, you can't tell me doing this and I ain't getting no call. Like, nah, that's not. No. And I've been on that platform, all hours, hour or more, and I have sat, no calls come in. I've gotten, calls will ring, and it rings constantly, but it always says it's picked up by another notary. I have 8. I need 2 more to get to that silver status so I can get a little, maybe a little bit more business. And then I also get an increase in how much I get paid. Right now, the tier that I'm on, I get $5 per transaction, $6 if it's an additional, $1 per stamp, per page, and that's it. The most I've made is $15. Or no. If I've done 8 successful ones, 8 times 5, that's 40. And then the one that had 1 extra stamp was 41. And they charge them $25 to notarize. Now, the other platforms, the eNotary On Call and Blue Notary, you can set your price. You can set your price on how much it costs, in terms of, whatever. So you can say $35 for this transaction. And then, that's how that works, But again, eNotary On Call does take a percentage of, per transaction. Right now, I have $215 on eNotary On Call, which is exciting, amazing, awesome, because I haven't really been doing a lot of loan signings this month, which is, it happens. It's slow right now. What do you expect, my general notary work hasn't been converting on the, as high as it had been in the past. I've had quite a few leads, but, unfortunately, they haven't converted into actual business. Again, I try to stay fair in terms of mileage, 62 cents per mile, and then $10 for the notarization if it's only 1 page. And people have still been saying no. And that's because it's competitive out there. If they can find a notary that happens to be closer to them and it's only like 10 minutes away, they can get that quick $10. I don't take it personal because it is what it is. Everybody, it's room enough, for everybody. It's just I wasn't it, and I've had my time where I wasn't. You know what I'm saying? Like when I first started, I was doing general notary work. Yeah, sometimes it'd be like 4 or 5 general notary work things in a week. And I was able to work around and get it going. But it's slowed down. A little bit. And, people might think my prices are high. It's not that I won't negotiate, but, when I tell people those prices, they aren't like trying to say, well, can you do it for this? Because I would negotiate, the price if it came down to it, So, and then, I forget to tell people about Ron, because I don't know how the process works with Ron for the customer. And I don't want to set the expectation for somebody to come over, and I'm trying to set them up. And because I've had times where I've gotten calls from people, I'm not going to tell you what platform specifically, and they have a hard time trying to figure it out, and I can't explain it to them. I can't help them. I don't know what to tell them. I don't know what to, you know what I'm saying? I worked with this one guy one time. It was like an hour and a half. It was an hour and a half it took. Not me waiting for him to get it done, and I was on the... It took a while for him to be able to sign up through the website, and then he had a co-signer, and they had to be available too, and they had to be on their own camera. It was a lot. It was just like, nah. But it was worth it. And you know what? I should have sent my review. I didn't even do it. I should have done that. But yeah, that's what happens. I mean, Ron is still in its infancy. It's still young, but it's starting to become a lot more feasible because it's a lot cheaper. And you're going to start seeing these big title companies actually transition over to that, more or less because it's the overhead isn't expensive. They're not having to pay for gas. They're not having to bid for pricing. They can say, all right, well, if you get this packet done of whatever, it's only 5 pages, and we're gonna give you $50 or $25 or whatever. It's a flat rate as opposed to it kind of being able to fluctuate. So yeah, those are the two things that you can do: general notary work, which people find success on that, and RON, which is definitely the bee's knees, and that's gonna be what's gonna take over eventually. I can see loan signing, which is happening already. That's gonna start transitioning over to where you'll start seeing that more online and a lot less in front, face to face kind of stuff. But you got to embrace the change and be able to diversify how you bring in income. Now, here in the state of Florida, you can marry people as an officiant, as a notary. You can marry people. You can charge $30 for notarizing their wedding and solemnizing their wedding. You absolutely can. The additional monies come from where travel fees, and also if you're a minister, you're able to charge more as well. I actually am an ordained minister, and I take that very seriously. I'm not out here just frivolously marrying people. My intention is to give the knowledge of marriage that I've experienced myself, because I've been married, going on 7 years, as well as be a liaison for the couples in terms of whatever else they may need in doing the work. So being a wedding officiant can be a job creator, because once they have you as their officiant and you have people who are in this space, you can actually make suggestions based on your experience. Like if you have a like, for example, I work with Worthy Cakes. Let's say the wedding comes up and it's like, hey, I need a cake. Can you refer somebody? Absolutely. And that could be something that you can also add to your portfolio in terms of charging as well. Some people turn their officiant into wedding planning services, and it definitely is it's a thing. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. So with that being said, guys, I'm gonna go. This isn't gonna be a long video today. I just kind of wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about general notary work and RON. We'll talk about loan signing agent next week. Now, if you had some other questions about certain things, please, in the comments down below, just ask the questions that you have, and I'll make sure that I get the right questions to you. I'm also going to have the link and everything on to where you can go and find these places that I mentioned, okay? If you want to try them. They work for me. My recommendation is to try it. If it don't work, you can always cut it, okay? So that is all. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and thank you so much for watching the Central Florida Notary. You guys have a good one. Talk to you soon.